or it'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Thank you. Let us begin in the following manner. First of all, we would like to thank each and every one of you for co-creating this interaction this day of your time. It is always a gift to our civilization to interact with any other civilization, for through each and every one of your unique perspectives, we are given an opportunity to experience another facet of the multidimensional crystal of all that is, of creation. And so this to us is a gift that expands our understanding of all the different ways that creation can express itself. And so we thank you. We would like to begin this interaction by speaking briefly on the idea of contact between our respective societies. Understand that this dialogue, this transmission, of course, is the beginning of such contact, and there have been other dialogues that many of you have not even been aware of in your dreams, when you're out of body, so to speak. But now, in your present day and age, these dialogues can be more physical, more solid in this way, that we can interact with you directly using your language in that sense. So there can be more immediate interaction in the physical world, and so that physical interaction can create in your world a frequency of energy, a vibration that is given off and radiated to the other humans on your planet, so that it makes more things more possible. Anytime you can bring more energy of what you want your world to be like into your behavior, into your physical behavior, anytime you can express more of the energy of the world you want in your physical behavior, the more you will radiate that frequency in your physical reality and make it more likely that such a reality can manifest. And so, by having these dialogues, if you will, it brings it one step closer to what you are used to experiencing as a physical interaction. There will come a time, as we read your collective energy, where there will be what you call face-to-face, solid interactions between your people, our people, many other species. As we read your collective energy now, this is most likely to occur between what you call your year of 2025 and 2040. Now, there may be a few other things that will happen before then on a relatively isolated and or limited basis, but that is actually quite a fast acceleration when you consider that it's been many thousands upon thousands of your years between now and the last time that humans on your planet interacted openly with what you call extraterrestrial beings. Within the last century of your time, great acceleration has happened, and thus brought you to this point where the idea of contact is relatively inevitable now on your planet, and will happen in relatively short time period as far as these things go, historically speaking. Now, a word about prediction. Please understand, it's very important to understand that we often say there really is no such thing as a prediction of the future, because the future in that sense is not really set. Anytime that you talk to a person that you call a sensitive, a psychic, and they make a prediction, understand that this is what is happening. They are sensing the energy that exists in the present, not the future, in the present, because there is only here and now. The future and the past, in that sense, are illusions. They do not exist empirically. There is only the present. And thus then, if they make a sensing, if they are sensitive enough to pick up upon what is going on in your energy, be it individual or collective, if that energy is unlikely to change, if the event that they are sensing, in that sense, is unlikely to divert its momentum, then What happens is, you say in your language, the event comes true, comes to pass. But it isn't because they saw into the future, it's because they saw very clearly what energy existed in the present that was unlikely to change, and if unlikely to change, would then simply play itself out into that series of events. This is very important to understand and make this distinction, because what it tells you is this. When someone senses the energy that exists at the present and they make a prediction of it, you must understand that new energy, new information can change the prediction itself, so that the prediction can actually render itself obsolete now that you know or are aware of the energy that exists. For if it is something that is predicted that you don't prefer, then knowing about it, knowing where your energy is and knowing what may transpire if the energy doesn't change may cause you to change your energy, thus rendering the prediction obsolete. This does not mean that the person who made the prediction is wrong. It simply means that you changed the energy. So always understand that it is important to know that a prediction is just a tool to help illuminate what energy exists within you now, and you can then have the freedom to choose whether or not you wish the manifestation that has been told to you to come to pass or not. You can let the energy ride and let the events play out that are the natural result of the energy that was read, or you can change the energy and change the outcome, because the future in that sense is not fixed. And anytime anyone makes a prediction that comes true in that sense, as you say, it's because there was generally a lot of energy behind that, a lot of momentum behind that, and it was unlikely to change, be it an individual level or a collective level. So please understand that that is the nature of prediction, and also the idea of what you call past, future in that sense, are really all going on simultaneously. Everything exists now. Everything exists all at once, because there is only one now moment in creation. What you call different times, different experiences, are the same one now moment from different points of view. And that's what you call consciousness. So, anything that you may discuss that has to do with what happened in the past or what will happen in the future, all you're really saying is what's going on now in a parallel existence simultaneously with this experience. What other experiences am I connecting to or not connecting to that are going on right now but in a different time frame, shall we say? Similar to the idea, and we often use this analogy, to what you call on your planet your television set. You know that at any given moment, a number of programs are available for you to watch, but you only get the one that you're tuned to at that moment. It doesn't mean the other programs aren't there. It doesn't mean when you change the channel, the other program is really gone into the past. Or that when you're about to change the channel, that program is really coming in from the future. They're all there at the same time at any given moment, but you only get the one you're tuned to. So it is with life. You are like resonators in that sense, and whatever vibration you give off is the reflection and the program, if you will, that you get back. Because physical reality is nothing but a mirror, and thus then whatever you put out is what you get back. It isn't always what you would call a one-to-one reflection, but the reflection you get back is always relevant to something that you need to participate in or have agreed to participate in terms of what it is you have given off as a frequency. And that is how you can get in touch with what's going on in your reality experience, because there is no physical reality aside from your experience of it. That's what physical reality is your experience of it. There is no empirical physical reality aside from that. So, if you wish to experience a particular kind of reality, you must get in touch with the engines that generate the kind of vibration that you are giving off, which is what determines the kind of reality that you are getting. And the engines that drive the vibration you give off are what are called definitions, beliefs. Those ideas drive your experience. Definitions give rise to feelings, because you cannot have a feeling without defining something to be true. And your feelings give rise to behavior, and your behavior reinforces the idea of your experience and gives you the reflection. So, if you find yourself behaving a certain way, it's because you feel a certain way. And if you find yourself feeling a certain way, it's because you believe a certain way. And if you find yourself believing a certain way, it's simply because you have been taught to buy into that particular belief, positive or negative. If you don't prefer it, all you have to do is find out what that belief is and use your freedom to choose to change it. And once you do that, everything else falls into place in alignment with that new belief. This is the fundamental issue of reality creation. It's simple physics, and it is simply what you put out is what you get back. That's all there really is to it. Although we understand that on your planet, it seems a good deal more complex than that at times. But that's all right. That is your way. It is the way you have used for thousands of years, but now you are changing your way. You are learning to simplify. You are learning that everything really can be simple in that sense. It can still be rich, but in that sense complex, but not complicated. You are learning now to divest yourself of things you do not need anymore. Beliefs that no longer work for you. Dropping the baggage you no longer need to carry. And we are happy to reflect to you a variety of ways in which you can do this more easily to accelerate your ability to experience your reality in the way you prefer to. It is because you and people like you have given off the vibration you have given off that allowed us to perceive that vibration as an invitation to begin these kinds of interactions with you, to be of assistance in this way. Now, what I have to share with you is not something you have to do. You never have to do anything we say. We are here to give you our point of view, what works for us, and what we know will work for you if you want to use it, if you want to apply it. But if you find that you will get something you need somewhere else that will work better for you, then that is the strongest suggestion I can give to you, is to go and do that. Because we do not have all the answers. We have what works for us. We know that we often attract individuals to ourselves that can use the things that work for us and have them work for them. But it is really up to you. I am not here to make you believe anything. I am here to reflect to you that you can believe what you want. But I can guarantee you that when you get in touch with whatever your belief is, it will work for you when you change it, by whatever methodology you wish to do that. So then, let us begin our dialogue this day of your time in the format that you call questions. Yes.
Hi, friend. It's great to talk with you again in this manner.
All right. Thank you and good day.
I've been going through a lot of interesting learning of my path. And
all right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. One of the things I've been very excited about is, in addition to my screenplays, I'm now writing a book on
all right.
mentoring at-risk youth, and I have an agent in New York that wants to represent it, and I have a very strong feeling that this is going to be very impactful in many ways.
All right.
And I'm curious.
First of all, please understand this. Every single one of you, every single day, and every single second of every single day have way more impact on the world than you imagine, just by being in it. Just by being in it, you have way more impact on the world than you can imagine. I understand what you are talking about when you talk about specifically focused projects and the impact you desire them to have, and positive impact they can have, certainly. But I would suggest you do not lose the perspective that even if projects don't necessarily always go the way you expect them to exactly, that somehow means you're not having impact on the world in the way that you would like to, because all of you are having a tremendous amount of impact, far more than you know. And I'll give you an example right now, if you would like, before you continue.
Yes.
All right. Anytime you raise your vibration by following your joy in any way, shape, or form, you have literally this kind of impact on the world. Right now, being in your joy has caused 15 less birth defects in the world, has caused 40,000 new flower colors to come into bloom, has caused a bird to sing a particular song it otherwise would not have sung before, has caused a particular manifestation of clouds in one area of the world that is now letting people in that area know that the drought in that area is now over. Do you understand what I am saying?
Yes.
Energy has impact. And when you stay in the vibration, all of you, of your highest joy, you actually have these kinds of impacts on the energy and the physical systems of your world.
That's wonderful.
You are all that powerful. I guarantee it. But do continue with what you were saying.
Well, I've had a thought that perhaps the fact that I'm putting so much of my life into helping the troubled kids in our society,
yes,
might relate to the work you said I would be doing in the so-called future with the hybrid children.
Yes, you are training yourself in a variety of ways to allow children that would be unfamiliar with your reality to begin to get a handle on how they can interact, integrate, and express their true power within your society, within your reality. So yes, it is many things, but it is also what you suspect, training for working with the hybrid children in what you call the future. Yes.
Great.
Thank you for your intuition.
Thank you. And there are two aspects to this I'd like to discuss with you.
Yes.
One is my beloved nephew, Devin, who I've discussed with you in
Yes.
the past. He's now in a detention center for being involved with drugs and criminal activities.
All right, how exciting for him.
Yeah, it is. And I believe he's an indigo child. He's incredibly gifted psychic
Yes.
powers. And I wonder if you have any advice or suggestions of how to help him in this situation.
What is he responsive to in terms of a type of creativity or expression of creativity?
He's very, he's incredibly talented artistically as well as musically, and he's very excited about music right now, so he's been using that as an outlet. And I just sent him a book for his birthday. Since he was 12, he's dreamed of astral projecting and wanting to go out of body. So,
all right. Well, that might be one way he can walk through the walls.
okay.
So he may have put himself in what might be to you a limited and restricted kind of experience in order to actually show himself that he is far less limited than he thinks. It might be his way of expanding beyond what you call the box. You see, you're all very clever about how you go about forcing yourself to learn to become more of who you are. And sometimes many of you will do it in what appears to be a negative way, but it doesn't really have to have a negative impact on your life if you use it in a positive way, as he can do if he is willing to see it that way. So you might want to share with him the idea that just because it may appear as if he is locked up in that sense, or what you call detention, that it might be a sparkling opportunity for him to really stretch himself and understand that the limitations are completely self-imposed and that he can stretch beyond them at will. All right?
Right. And for myself,
Yes.
I've recently been experiencing health problems.
Health challenges?
Health challenges.
Of what nature?
I've had bad colds. The one that I just had triggered a bout of arthritis, which I haven't had in 27 years.
All right. Many times when energy levels will change within you, it will show up the things that may need still adjusting within your body. You may sail along smartly and smoothly for a while at a certain level of energy, but then when you are looking to expand, when you're looking to, as you say in your language, push the envelope, you will then find out that more adjustment may be needed to clear more things out, because now a more refined energy is coursing through there, and that area must operate in a very clean way in order to allow that energy full access, so to speak. Remember that we used the analogy some time ago of what you call your internal combustion engine on your planet. When the internal combustion engine was very primitive, shall we say, on your planet, it was a very simple machine. It could be very dirty, full of mud, and still it could ka-chunk, 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 and keep on running. But as soon as you started to invent high precision internal combustion engines that operated within very fine tolerances, you began to realize they had to be kept immaculately clean, because the smallest speck of dirt that didn't belong there would seize the entire operation. So it is with the idea of your body. As you ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk along, operating on a certain level of energy, that's all well and good. But as soon as you start to accelerate your vibration, uplift your vibration, refine your vibration, then it requires a higher degree of maintenance also, so that every level is cleared out, and so the energy will not pile up where there are blockages, in a sense, which will then cause the discomforts, pains, and diseases that you will experience in your body. So, the idea of, well, I'm going to put it this way. About 90% of all discomfort, pain, and dis-ease in the physical body on your planet can be completely and utterly alleviated and eliminated by absolutely thorough detoxification of the system, the flushing of the liver, the flushing of the kidneys, the flushing of the gallbladder, the flushing of many of your organs in that sense, the flushing of the colon, and the putting into the body of high organic nutrient foods. And also the lowering of what you call stress situations in your reality, or learning how to handle them in a less stress-inducing way. Just these things alone will eliminate almost all disease on your planet. So, the idea is that now if you're finding your energy level attempting to rise and you're finding these blockages, it's possible that you require a thorough detoxification and cleansing of the system. You follow me?
Yeah.
That would be my first suggestion.
I've done in the past the lemon juice with cayenne pepper.
Yes.
Is that a good way to cleanse?
It is, but it is not necessarily sufficient. Find what has been recommended as a thorough detoxification program, perhaps even coupled with a week that involves what you would call a juice fast, mostly raw organic vegetable, a little bit of fruit, perhaps 15% fruit, the rest of it vegetable juice for a week. Really cleanse the system out using clear water with a little bit of lemon juice in it and the cayenne here and there to open up your system and allow things to be infused within it very rapidly, and also putting into your system then when you start ingesting the solid food again, only that which is as pure, organic, and natural as possible. All right?
And just finally,
Yes.
My friends have been pointing out that part of my dis-ease is because I'm not living in the moment.
Sometimes.
So is that part of it?
Yes.
Think? So I just need to focus more on being in the moment and
You need to
enjoying
relax more.
Okay.
Not so much focus more. In some senses, focus is what gets you into trouble. Relax more. Let yourself know that you do not have to make or control or force things into position. All you have to do is really allow them to fall into place as is representative of the vibration you are giving off. So in that sense, pure control is actually total surrender. Do you follow me?
I think so.
Because everything already works, doesn't it?
Well, I get worried about money and...
I know you do. And that's where you get into trouble. When you get worried.
Okay.
Remember, it isn't about learning to trust, it's about where you're placing your trust. And if you place your trust in the idea that there won't be enough, I guarantee you the universe will support you and give you not quite enough. That's how it works. You follow me?
Yes.
So relax. Relax your expectations, relax your definitions, broaden your ideas, and fall into your life. All right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And
Hi there, my name is Lindsay.
oh, all right, if you insist. Good day, Lindsay.
Please talk to me about our project, The Healer.
What about it? Is it something that is representative of your highest excitement?
Yes.
All right. Then it is the correct thing to do. Here's all you have to know with any so-called project. In fact, this is all you have to know at any given moment. Excitement, joy, the things that give you bliss. You have often heard this in what you call your New Age vernacular. Follow your bliss. Act on your joy. Act on your excitement. You hear it all the time. But are you ever told why it's so important? It's not just about putting a smile on your face. That's not what it's about. This is why it's important. What you call the physical sensation of joy, bliss, and excitement, that sensation is your body's experience of the vibration of your true natural self. So when you do the things that contain the highest amount of that vibration, you are doing the things that are most aligned with your true natural self. Thus, then, you are allowing the universe to work harmoniously and synchronistically with you, bringing you what you need, allowing you to be where you need to be, when you need to be there, interacting with exactly who you need to interact with, and bringing all the things together to allow them to work harmoniously and manifest. At any given moment, all you have to do, whether it comes in the form of a project or not, is look at all the options available to you at that moment that you could actually do something about, that you can actually take any action on whatsoever. Pick the one that contains the highest excitement and act on it as far as you can take that action to the best of your ability. When you can take it no further, look then at the next most exciting thing that is then in front of you as an option that you have the highest degree of ability to do something about, and act on that. And the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. Without thinking that these things have to look like they make logical sense or are in some way connected to what you think they're supposed to be connected to. It is following the thread of excitement that is actually the shortest path. Even if it seems to weave, it's actually the shortest path, rather than thinking about how you're supposed to make this connect to that, and I should be doing this because that's supposed to get me there. And when you logic it out, you're actually making it take longer than it needs to. Is this making some sense to you, Lindsay?
Brilliant. Thank you.
Does that help you?
We're in it. It's happening. So thank you.
It's all you have to do. If you're willing to allow it to be that simple, I guarantee it will work. If you come up against what you feel to be a blockage, an obstacle, whatever you wish to label it in that context, redefine it. Because whatever is there, whatever it is supposed to be there for one reason or another, even if only for you to learn how to use it in such a way so that it never happens again. So the idea is that when you call it an obstacle, when you call it a wall, that right there is making it be the experience of an obstacle. Redefine it. What heretofore was an obstacle is simply your path turning in an unexpected direction to the left or the right. Follow it, because it's there for a reason. What seems to be the circuitous path is actually the straightest course if it leads you into more and more and more awareness of who and what you are. Because the idea of the project, the idea of having a goal, the idea of the result is not the thing. The process, the being in it is the thing. The living it is the thing. And that will never end. Does that make sense to you?
Very much so.
Does this help you?
Yes.
Is there something else you wish to discuss?
No.
Thank you.
Bashar, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Well, I am not there, but I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you for being there.
Wherever you are, we're
Thank
glad
you.
you're wherever.
Thank you. I am glad I am wherever too.
How are we going to achieve world peace?
By creating it. It's your world, is it not?
Let's
What
hope so.
seems so insurmountable to you that you would ask such a question?
Well, we have a couple of wars going on. And
Oh, you have more than a couple. More than a couple of wars. You have many, many, many different kinds of things and conflicts going on, yes. I understand that the idea of peace may seem inconceivable, insurmountable, unachievable. I understand that. But in fact, again, it takes redefinition and it takes action. It takes living the life of peace. It takes putting it out there. It takes the behavior. It takes getting involved. It takes making a difference. And it takes redefining, looking at things differently. Here's an example. You may say, well, look at the world, look at the earth. Conflict has escalated all over the place. How's that a good thing? Well, you can look at it this way. You're ending the cycle of limitation, ending the cycle of negativity. And so, because you're so close to the end of that cycle, you're getting everything up on the table all at once. Getting it out of your system all at once, very rapidly. Getting it all out in front of you so you can look at it, discuss it, and say, is this what we want our world to be? Yes or no? If no, what do we do about it? How do we learn from it? And how do we extend ourselves to others that validates them for who they are, thus then allowing them to find themselves, find their true selves, because when all of you, no matter how different an individual you may be, when all of you are being the full individuals you are, you will all harmonize. True unification does not come from homogenization. True unification comes from the validation of the total individuality of every single person. So that when you are your true self, you all naturally will harmonize synchronistically. But being your true self means putting yourself out there, showing the world by example what living a life of peace and joy and creativity and unconditional love really is all about. It means, as you say colloquially in your language, walking your talk. Does that make some sense to you?
Yes.
Well, is this helping, or are you still somewhat confused about how to create peace on your world?
I guess I would like peace to come quickly.
Well, go right ahead. What's stopping you? Nothing. Now, I will tell you something else as well. Understand this. Each and every one of you is your own universe, literally. 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 Even though you may have agreed to see many different ways of doing things on your planet, including what you call some very, very negative and dire acts and consequences, whatever vibrational rate, whatever vibrational state you stay on, even if you see or experience someone else or interact with someone else, even if they wish you harm, when you stay in the state of peace for yourself, no matter what their intention is, the only effect you will get will be a beneficial one. So you create that peace in your world first, so that in that sense you are unassailable. You follow me?
Yes.
By knowing the vibration that is you, and staying in it no matter what's going on around you, knowing that nothing in that sense can affect you that you do not choose to be affected by, then you will radiate the idea of what it is like to live in that world of peace. And if the person interacting with you then thus sees by example in you something that strikes a chord within them, they can also choose to emulate that idea and have peace in their world. Not that they have to, because you have to allow them the validity of their choice. And that's the first step towards peace on your planet. Because the only real reason why you don't have peace on your planet, if you will look at it, and you don't even have to look very closely to see it, is that you all spend a lot of time invalidating each other's points of view. I have the only true belief. You don't. I do. But you see, the secret is all points of view are true. Because God, if you wish to call it that, is that big. All that is literally all that is. All that is isn't all that is except for this little piece over here. If it was except for this little piece over there, then all that is wouldn't be all that is. So the first step toward peace is validating everyone's point of view, even including the idea that it is a valid point of view to always want war. The point is that once you allow it to be a valid point of view, an equal choice to anything else, then you take the charge off of it. Then it simply becomes a choice like anything else, and you can really discuss the advantages or disadvantages of choosing one thing or another. Then it simply becomes a matter of making a choice of integration or a choice of segregation. And choices of integration are always going to feel more beneficial to you than choices of segregation. So when you can knock the charge off of everyone's choices that they've made and erase the judgment in that sense, then you can all really begin a true dialogue of, well, what is it about having war that works for you? Enlighten me, would you? Because I really want to understand what you get out of that perspective. You must be getting something out of it. Why does that work for you? When you can really begin to explore that with people, then you will have a real dialogue and you will have peace. Make sense?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for coming again.
All right. Thank you as well.
4 years ago, I saw my color and I heard my tone.
Yes.
And the color was a magenta fuchsia kind of color.
All right.
Can you tell me what that means?
What it means?
Yes.
What meaning do you wish to give it?
Well, people say that the colors mean particular things.
Well, I understand that colors are a certain vibration, but you see, people have given it those meanings. Yes, it has a certain connotation in your collective agreement, and I can tell you what that is, and it is basically the idea of this. It is the idea of fusion. The idea of fusing many different things together. Now, whether that is experienced harmoniously or disharmoniously is up to the choices that you make. But it is the vibration that represents a certain kind of fusion. Does that make any sense to you?
A little bit.
All right. But let me say this. Absolutely nothing has built-in meaning. The greatest gift that creation has given to all beings in creation, and I know this is going to sound a little odd to your ears, but nevertheless, the greatest gift is this. Life is meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. It has no built-in meaning. It's absolutely neutral. The gift is you get to give it the meaning you prefer it to have, and the meaning you give it determines the effect you get out of it. In that sense, life is completely transparent and neutral and will absolutely reflect whatever meaning you decide to give it. So, if you wish to instill that color with your own meaning, that's how it will work for you. Yes, it may come to you with what seems to be a built-in meaning, but that's just because the meaning you gave it was probably given so automatic and so unconsciously that you didn't realize that you were putting the meaning into it. So it seemed like it came with the meaning built in, but it actually doesn't have a built-in meaning. So you can accept the idea of what the collective agreement is about what that color means, or you can decide for yourself what it means very specifically.
Oh, I thought it had to do with coming from a kind of ray, a particular...
Yes, I understand all of that. And yes, there is some degree of truth to that. But what I am saying is that in this day and age on your planet, even though it does represent certain frequencies that are able to reflect, represent, or accomplish certain changes within you, or represents or reflects certain things going on within you, now in this day and age on your planet, as you say, all bets are off. You can decide what it means for you and why you have attracted it and how you want to work with it and what effect you want to get out of it. It's up to you.
Okay.
Now, the idea of the magenta, as we said, can bring with it the concept of fusion. The fusion in this case, as your collective society has generally agreed to call it, is a fusion of the earth, in the sense of being grounded to it, but also in the sense of the expression of higher energies of what would be sensuality, sexuality, love, relationship, nature, in that sense, as it relates to you as a natural being, as a natural creature of the earth. It can represent all those things. But again, you can take all that and you can give it a new meaning, a new twist, whatever you wish it to mean. And you can change its frequency and change its color in whatever way you wish it to mean. It's really up to you. Does that help?
Uh-huh.
And?
I keep having a story unfolding of a biblical character.
Yes.
And why would that be happening? Why does a story just naturally unfold on its
Possibly
own?
because you are making a cross connection to what might be called an alternate life.
My alternate life?
Well, again, please understand that when you talk about such things as incarnation, understand that all lives exist now. All of them exist now. And in any given life, you may make connections to other lives, let's say that your oversoul is having, because obviously that person in that life isn't you in terms of this person, but it might be the bigger you, an aspect of the bigger you that's responsible for creating that person, this person, another person, and all the people experiencing lives in different realities, different civilizations, different dimensions, physical, non-physical, whatever you wish it to be. And in any given life, you make cross connections to the various other life experiences you may be simultaneously having based on what you think that life has to offer to this life, and based on what those lives think that this life has to offer them. There is always cross-communication. You don't always recognize it for what it is. As you say, a story that just keeps unfolding in me might actually be, in a sense, a line of communication between this life and your experiences here, and another life that another aspect of your greater soul is having, and it is simply feeding those experiences to you in a way that you interpret as a story unfolding in a way that makes sense for you here. Did that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. So you can use that information in whatever way you wish, whatever way is representative of your highest creativity, your highest joy. That's what the information is for you to use it however you wish to understand it or however you wish to apply it. And they're doing the same with the experiences you're having in this life. Did that make sense? Mm-hmm. Does that help?
Yes.
Can I ask a question about this same topic?
Yes. And then we will come to you, all right?
Oh, I can't ask another?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay.
If you wish to continue.
Yeah.
We will then do that, then do that, then do that, yes? All right.
Okay. When I was in Abidjan, Brazil, at a sacred...
Speak up and be bold so that all may hear what you have
When
to
I was
say.
at a sacred waterfall,
Yes.
near this healer, John of God,
Yes.
I had a little tiny time-lapse experience. I was standing up in the waterfall. All of a sudden, then I was lying on my back.
Oh, congratulations.
So what happened? And
You didn't create time for a moment. Understand, you create time. And when you get into higher frequencies and higher vibrations, there is less need for the experience of the illusion of time. So you can have what might be called jump moments, flicker moments, where you have gaps where no time is created at all. And you simply can shift from one moment to the next that would normally have been here and here, but now you have eliminated the time in the middle and so brought them from here to here. So 1 second you can be standing, the next you can be lying down without needing to traverse the intervening experience of time. You follow? This is one of the symptoms of your acceleration on Earth, is that you are becoming slippery in space and time. Some of you may find yourself places suddenly and you don't know how you got there. Some of you may find yourself suddenly missing time and you don't know what happened. You are actually stopping the creation of space and time for that moment. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
Well, with regard to what she was just saying a moment ago about what we apparently misunderstand or misinterpret as different lifetimes chronologically.
Yes, it's not a misunderstanding, it's just that's the way you see it from a linear time frame perspective.
Well, intuitively, I can understand that all alternate lifetimes are coexistent in the now.
Yes.
But I also can't, I mean, being a person who has had years and years of memories of other lifetimes,
Yes.
I can't place the historical aspect when you, for example, remember,
Yes.
for want of a better word, remember yourself in an existence which, as you remember it, was vital and whole,
Yes.
but which is now suffering the ravages of time and is now in ruins. I mean,
Yes.
something has transpired
Of course.
in time in that interim.
That's your experience, yes.
So I guess it's so hard to understand how to reconcile it all in the now and yet try to figure out where does history come in.
Well, again, we use several analogies to illustrate this point. You are familiar with the idea of a strip of movie film?
Yes.
Well, if you are living in a certain reality, let's say you're living in the actual strip of film, then you occupy one frame at a time, yes?
Yes.
And it seems that your life must be experienced sequentially in order for you to experience it at all, yes?
Yes.
But if you are the projectionist, can you not hold the entire film strip in front of your face and see all the frames simultaneously?
Yes.
Well, then as the projectionist, you can look at them in any order you want to, can't you? All at once, or you can look at the beginning first and the ending last, and you understand? The ending first and the beginning last. It doesn't matter what order you look at the frames in, they're all there at once for you to look at any way you want to. So in that sense, you have, shall we say, destroyed the concept of history. But when you're in the film strip as one of the characters, then you gain back the sense of continuity and history. But it's just a matter of perspective, that's all. Both are true, but from a particular point of view. So your experience of history is true from within the time frame experience, but when you, in a sense, rise above that or step outside of it, then history no longer matters because you can look at everything all at once.
That's fantastic.
Does that help?
Absolutely.
It's what your scientists call a holographic structure. Many of your scientists, especially your quantum physicists, are now really beginning to understand that this is the way reality is. Every single thing is here and now, but it seems separated by a slightly different point of view within your consciousness. And not only do I mean whole lives, I mean everything you experience as discrete single moments in time as well. Each and every moment, or what you call a moment in time, is a single, static, unmoving, unchanging totality of the multiverse. But when you shift your consciousness, you then experience the idea of another perspective of a complete, static, unchanging multiverse. But then your consciousness does this fantastic little trick. It makes a relationship between the two that then creates the illusion of the continuity of the passage of time. That's the magic trick that's going on in your consciousness. But you're actually not moving at all, not going anywhere. You are being everywhere at once. But in this particular aspect, in what you call physical reality, and on certain other dimensional levels, you can actually experience it as if it's all separate. But that's just an experience. It's not really separate. It's not really different places and different times, but you can experience the oneness as if it is. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Does that help?
tremendously.
Yes.
Along the same line of exploring ideas of history,
Yes.
I read not long ago that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote the Ring series. He said himself that it was not intended to be fiction, that it was history of a sort.
Anything you are capable of imagining is somewhere in some dimension, in some parallel reality happening. Because you do not have the capacity to imagine non-existence. So anything you imagine does exist somewhere, somewhen, somehow, in some form. So in that sense, yes, it is a real reality experiencing that real history. It's just not yours. Do you follow?
Yours as whose? You mean
Yours. It's just not yours. It's not your agreed upon reality. But it is a real reality unto itself, living its own lives out, all the people in it, and they simply know nothing of your reality, which to them would seem like a fairy tale.
Is it connected, though, to the reality that we think of as is our planetary experience on Earth?
In what way do you mean that?
Does it reflect?
It is not a part of your actual linear history, if that's what you mean.
That's more or less what I meant.
It is a parallel reality in a parallel Earth going on right now. Every bit as real as your own. Do you understand?
Yes.
And in those kinds of realities, there may be another person intuitive enough to tap in and write about this fantastic fantasy reality where there can be buildings that are hundreds of feet high and where people can watch entertainment on a little box in their homes. You see? You get the point?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you. And then you.
It's great joy to be here to have this dialogue with you.
We experience great joy as well in the interaction, so we thank you for the gift.
I understand from the inside out everything you're saying. It is my also direct experience.
Thank you.
And I was mentored by a physicist starting 30 years ago, and this is the work I've been teaching for a long time.
Yes.
So it's been
The barriers are blurring between
Correct.
what you call physics and metaphysics.
Correct. And the question I have really is, because I want to accelerate the reality that I'd like to have,
All right.
what is it that's existing at this time for this being energetically? Can you tell me that?
Are you speaking of yourself?
Yes, this individual.
What do you mean, what is existing?
What energetics are existing at this time?
Define energetics.
Because I've just come off of 20 years of teaching and traveling, I left the entertainment industry about 20 years ago
Yes.
after an epiphany and
An
just
epiphany.
yes.
All right. Do you want another epiphany?
No, I've had plenty of those.
No more epiphanies
Well,
then.
every moment is epiphany.
Oh, yes, it is.
Every
Very
moment.
good.
But however, I guess what I'm seeing now is I have been in a very unusual, unexpected way, delivered back to Hollywood.
Well, congratulations.
To
On our planet, anytime something happens that's unexpected, we say congratulations.
I love it.
Because that means you're allowing your life to work.
I live in free fall.
Yes, very good. So do we.
Yes. And I am looking to see, in terms of the expression of this being,
Follow your highest
apparently
joy.
the joy is
Follow your highest joy.
is occurring.
That's all you have to do. Remember, even if it doesn't seem to take the form of a specific idea or project, all you have to do to know you are, as you say, on the right track with your energetics is look at whatever options are available to you, even something as simple as taking a walk on the beach. If that's the most exciting thing you can imagine doing at this moment that you have the ability to do something about, do it. Because you never know who you're going to meet, what you're going to overhear, and so on and so forth, or what inspiration will come to you in that walk on the beach. Do not think your way out of it.
Right.
Let yourself go with the flow of whatever excites you the most. That's the energetic state to stay firmly in. Does that help?
Yes, it is. And there is a sense, or perhaps it's simply a belief, that one must focus.
But your focus will come naturally.
Okay.
Let me put it this way.
Okay, good.
Many people talk about the idea of doing things and they say, well, I need focus, I need discipline. If you're doing what really, really, really excites you, believe me, you'll be focused on nothing else. Because there will be, at that moment, no other choice. And if you have no other choice, then it's not an issue of having to focus. There will be nothing else to focus on.
It feels like I'm living life as a triathlete.
Yes.
It's living me.
Maybe even a pentathlete.
It's living me as that, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That is all you have to do. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Oh, and by the way, it's really that simple.
Yes, yes, yes.
If you want it to be.
Yes.
Don't let me force you to make it simple. If you want it to be complicated, by all means, please complicate it, if that gives you joy.
It is the simplicity that gives me joy, because I have nothing to do with it. It's being moved moment to moment.
Yes. It is moving, and you have everything to do with it by allowing it to be what it is.
Yes.
It is the paradox of this and that.
Yes.
One of the habits that would be very, very wise for humans to change is the constant way you look at things as this or that, in mutually exclusive terms, instead of this and that in mutually inclusive terms.
Yes, it's like a collapsing of duality into now.
Yes. While still allowing yourself to experience the duality, but in a way that allows the duality to be experienced as unity.
Yes.
As balance. That's the secret. It's learning to come from the point of power at the center of paradox. That's the secret.
Yes, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi.
And to you, hi.
This is my first experience with you. It's quite a joy. So
All right, speak up and be bold so that all may have a part in your sharing.
Okay. First of all, I was curious as to what my soul contract is. So I seem to get confused.
Confused. All right, let me unravel it here.
Thank you.
Lots of small print. Your soul contract is exactly the same as everyone else's. And I'll tell you why I say it that way. Okay. This is the only thing you've contracted to do. Be yourself as fully as you can. How you wish to do that is up to you. All the different things that people do are not really the things that are written in the contract. Yes, you can make certain choices before physical reality that you will play out. Yes, you can have agreed to do certain things in a certain way. But still, those things are not really the so-called contract. The contract is the same for all of you. The mission, the purpose is the same for all of you. To be yourself in the way you were created as fully as you possibly can. How you do that is up to you. All the styles are just styles of expressing the fulfillment of the contract of being you as fully as you can. And the way that you are being as fully you as you can be is by what we just said. Always doing the thing that excites you the most in the best possible way you can every moment of your life.
And what happens if you are at a place where nothing pulls at you, nothing excites you, nothing you can think of will bring you joy?
Then I guess you are excited about not being excited.
No.
Yes.
No, because that doesn't bring you joy either.
But
bring
you
me,
see,
I'll speak for myself.
Yes.
That doesn't bring me joy. It
I
makes me
understand.
very upset
But
when
what
I
I
can't find that.
mean by that is this. If you are buying into the idea that nothing gives you joy, then that's actually what you're doing. You're buying into that idea. You're labeling things and defining things in a certain way so as to not allow yourself to see what is reflective of your joy. It's only definitions that color the experience of your life. And if you are not finding anything that seems to reflect the idea of your joy, then there is a filter in the way of that experience. And the filter is always a definition. So you need to get in touch with what kind of definitions you may have been raised to believe that would allow you to filter your energy in such a way that nothing appears to be exciting to you.
And would that be the same answer if it comes and goes? Sometimes there's great joy and sometimes there's none?
Many times on your planet, people will be able to be in touch with their natural selves in certain arenas, but they will have definitions that will prevent them from being in touch with themselves in other arenas, because for some reason those arenas have been defined as somehow not being part and parcel of your joy. Now, it is true that there are things that are not reflective of one's joy, and you have to learn to discern the difference, because the whole idea is living your life based on what you prefer. But joy also doesn't necessarily mean that you're jumping up and down every moment. Joy can be a sense of peace or balance too. You understand?
Yes.
So the idea, however, is to get in touch with whatever areas seem to be not reflective. First of all, look and see if that's all right. In other words, not everything in life is going to be representative of your highest frequency. And if it's not, that's all right. Go on your way and do not interact with that if it is not representative of your preference. But be sure whether or not it is. And you have to get in touch with your definitions about why something is not apparently joyful when for some reason you think it might be, or should be, or could be.
Or has been a moment
Or has
ago
been and is not now. So you need to ask yourself, what kind of a belief would I have to have about this situation that I would be defining it now in this way as not joyful? Now, of course, there's always the idea that sometimes people think that when a situation gave them joy once, that somehow it's supposed to give them joy again, and that may not be true. And your definition of that may be getting in the way of seeing what else could be joyful, but somehow you have an expectation that this thing that was joyful before should be joyful again, when that may not be true for you. So you have to also discern whether you're thinking that way or looking at it that way too. That could come simply from the expectation that that's the thing that's supposed to be joyful, when in fact something else is trying to knock at your door and get your attention. That actually is representative of your joy and telling you should be going in a different direction than just assuming that the same old thing that gave you joy before is supposed to give you joy now. Did you follow that logic?
Yes.
But it is really still an issue of getting in touch with what you believe about any situation that's happening to you and finding out, digging down and finding out what belief, what definition would I have to have about this situation that makes it seem as if it is not reflective of my preference, of my joy, of my energy, of my excitement, of my true self. And when you start to find those definitions, you will start to become more and more transparent to yourself. And then when you see what the definition is, you can change the definition. And when you change the definition, you can begin to see a change in how you look at things and how you respond to things. Because understand, this is very important, very important. You do not feel a certain way without believing something to be true. You cannot have a feeling. Even apathy, you cannot have it unless you have a definition that reinforces it. Do you follow that? There is no feeling without a belief.
What happens to those times where you can have a feeling of great joy for a few weeks, let's say, and everything is wonderful,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden, poof, that's gone, and you
All
have
right.
a feeling of great sadness.
But
and
why do you feel sad that things have changed? That's the question. The sadness comes from the fact that you're putting a definition on the change that makes it seem to be something that you don't actually want, when in fact, you must accept that when change happens, it's there for a reason, and define it in a way that will let you get a positive effect from it, even if you can't understand why something changed in the way that it did. It's your definition of it that makes it give you the effect that something about the change is sad. You cannot feel sad about a change unless you define the change as something that you should be sad about. Why is the change sad? Just because it's not the way it was before, why, when something changes, should that be sad?
It's just going from a feeling of great joy to great sadness.
But
And you
why
wanna prefer to be-
is the sadness there? What happened in your reality that allowed you to react to it with sadness? Remember that your feelings are responses in that sense. So where in that sense is the sadness coming from? What situationally has changed that you are reacting to with sadness based on a definition you have about that situational change?
But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes there's no situational change.
Oh, yes, there is. Always there is. Now, I understand the way you mean it, but it may be that in the example you are giving, you are just testing yourself. Is there some expectation that may be within you that suddenly you get in touch with and realize is there when that happens? In other words, nothing on the surface may seem different, but maybe something in you has changed.
That could be, yeah.
And you're looking at things differently. And for some reason, defining the difference in a sad way. If nothing changes out here, that's not the issue. The issue is what's going on inside, always. Because when you do change, the measure of the change is not that the outer world has changed. The measure of any change is how you respond, even if the outer world is the same. So you may simply be showing yourself that you have the capacity to have any kind of feeling whatsoever, even if the outer world looks no different. Giving yourself an opportunity to recognize that how you feel is completely self-generated and has nothing to do with what's going on apparently around you. You may be teaching yourself that lesson, taking yourself through a variety of emotional states, even when everything out here stays the same, just to let you know, you're that flexible. You're like a little emotional orchestra. You can play any tune you want, regardless of the shape of the amphitheater. Is that making any sense?
Yes, thank you.
Is this helping?
I believe so.
Is there some other place you wish to take this conversation that may be more precise for you? Is there some specific example perhaps you would like to give that will then allow illumination to occur because we are using specific references?
Okay. Yeah. For example, I had this experience a few weeks ago. I went to a rebirther.
All right.
And at the end of it, I just felt this huge flood of joy come into me.
All right.
And everything felt wonderful.
Yes.
And then a few weeks later, I felt that there was this darkness and heaviness. And it's not that necessarily circumstances changed, but I felt that inside me there was darkness and heaviness. And
Good.
I want to
Good.
get back to the
Do
joy.
you remember? You see what you're doing? Avoidance. Avoidance. You have an assumption that spirituality means you will never see the darkness. That's a fallacy. Do you remember when we said that the idea of enlightenment is the idea of this and that instead of this or that?
Yes.
That's the key. When you become more enlightened, do you think you're going to see less of reality or more?
More.
Well, is darkness not a part of reality?
Yes.
Well then, be joyful that you're seeing more darkness because it means you're moving more into the light. The more darkness you see, the more light you experience. Just because you see the darkness doesn't mean you have to experience it. But that you will see it equal to the light means that you are squarely in the center, in balance. And the higher you go, the more you will see on both sides. It is only your assumption that you're not supposed to see the dark that's making you feel sad, as if something is supposed to be going a different way or that something is wrong. I'm supposed to be spiritual. I'm not supposed to see the darkness. Nonsense. When you're more spiritual, you see more of all of it. Does God shy away from the fact that within God there is great darkness? Of course not. God, or whatever you wish to call it, all that is the light and the dark. Were it not so, there would be no all that is. There would only be half that is. If you want to be all that is, embrace the darkness with the light. For without the darkness, there would be no light, and without the light, there would be no darkness. Do you understand?
Yes.
Does this help?
Yes.
Are you more joyful about seeing the darkness?
Yes.
Then you have found your joy, where it was all the time, right in front of your face.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question about,
Yes.
A lot of people talk about 2012
Yes, they do.
as sort of a critical time and
Sort
shifting.
of.
Could you talk about that? Because
It's a window that represents the crossing of a critical mass threshold of your collective consciousness. When there will be enough momentum in the collective consciousness of your planet to cross a threshold so that from that time forward you will accelerate greatly toward the idea of unification, peace, and creativity on your planet, and leave behind more and more every year the old systems, letting them collapse as you create new systems to take their place. Rather than trying to change the old way, you will just make new ways and let the old ones collapse so the new ones will just be there. You understand?
yes,
So it's like a window that represents a collective consciousness surge or wave crossing a threshold, a critical mass. Make sense?
could it go one way or another way? Like they're saying that if we don't, raise our consciousness, then at that window, things could go not so great.
For some people, it may not. For others, it will go just fine. Because you will be experiencing two different realities. Literally.
Only two?
Oh, no. But I am simply using the example that was given. You understand? You will experience a collective number of realities, but you will also have a collective agreement with groups of people to experience generally realities in a collective way with large groups. So some large groups will experience a transformation in a very beneficial and effective way for themselves, and others may experience it in more of a catastrophic way. But those are different realities, is simply all I am pointing out as an illustration.
Can I ask about this? The first time...
The first time that I heard about this was a few years ago when Barbara Marciniak was
Yes.
writing about a splitting off of different realities
Yes.
and people being drawn into the reality that corresponds most closely with their
Yes.
individual energy.
This goes on all the time. However many individuals there are in your room right now, there are literally that many realities, and I mean literally that many realities. And the only reason you think there is concurrence is because you have agreed to abide by the idea that your individual reality shares some common precepts or effects or experiences, but you're creating that commonality in your own reality. Does that make sense?
Yes, but what another complication seems to be that
Yes.
physicists
Yes.
are, and apparently they're not talking about this very much.
Oh,
but
yes, they are.
Well,
it's
but-
called the many worlds theory.
Well, what I was getting at is that apparently with some of the strange science that we've been into,
Yes.
we've done so much to kind of fracture or interfere with our space-time continuum that there is a group of physicists who are concerned that we now have at least 24 separate timelines that are very tenuously held together, and
Yes.
that any
Yes.
kind of disaster could
Yes.
spray them, just
Yes.
spring them all apart.
Yes, and that's one reality. That's the definition of one of those realities. That there are all these fractures in that reality, and in that reality, that's real. Do you wish to experience that reality?
Well, isn't that what you're talking about, being drawn into the reality that most
No, I'm talking about creating the reality. You are a reality. You choose whatever ingredients, whatever equational formulas make up your vibrational reality. If you feel yourself, as you say, drawn to the idea of being in a reality that has all these fractures in it that will create certain effects by being in that reality, then by all means, draw yourself into that experience. But if that's not what you prefer, create another reality where there are no fractures.
But how is it that we're going to be able to coexist in the same reality with people who clearly now have such violent and divergent ways of looking at reality?
Eventually, you will not coexist in a reality with them. Right now, you still have a, shall we say, window of time in which you are willing to co-experience aspects of almost everyone else's perspective of their reality. But there is coming more and more a time when you will not. And you will start to see things go away. You will simply turn around one day and wonder, where did so-and-so go to? I haven't seen them for years. They were not of my frequency. I no longer experience them. They're not in my reality. They're in their own. More and more that will happen, so that when the day comes where you say, oh, look at the unity we have on earth and everything, as you say, is peaceful and blissful, it will not be because all those people changed. It will be because you took yourself, so to speak, into that reality vibration, and those that did not are not in it with you. Correct. Only the ones that are. Only the aspects of those people that belong in that reality are in that reality with you. Even if there's a representation of them still there, and they seem to have changed the way they behave, it isn't really that they have, it's just that you're getting the version of them that belongs in that reality, and you make the continuity connection or assumptive jump that they have changed, but they haven't really. It's just that you're now interacting with the person that is representative of being in that reality with the version of you that belongs in that reality. It's just that your consciousness is now looking through those eyes, and theirs is looking through those eyes in that reality, thinking that that is one reality, and in fact it is, when the other reality that you thought you left is still going on. But you're not experiencing it anymore from your perspective. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, this is the Matrix, right?
Yes. Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth.
Oh, all right. Good day to you.
And this is a wonderful dialogue. And I would like for you to share about your world and what that looks like. I mean, how you would compare it. Yeah.
All right. There is a physicality to it. Even though it is in a different dimensional vibration, you would have to make a physical adjustment, an energetic adjustment, a vibrational adjustment to shift into our reality. But once there, you would experience our planet as being somewhat similar to your own. It is somewhat smaller. There is more water, but it is very green. There are no built-up cities on it whatsoever. There are a few structures on it. We operate mostly in our ships. Those are our cities in that sense, and they do not reside on the planet. You would be able to survive on our world to some degree quite well, although you would find it more oxygen-rich for a while, and you might be a little bit dizzy until you acclimated. In that sense, you will find that our appearance would be, on average, about 5 feet of your height, whitish gray skin coloration, slender, more slender than what you would call your average human. Understand that we are, in your terms, a manufactured race. Do you understand?
No.
We are the combination of genetics from humans and another race that you euphemistically call the Greys. We are hybrids. We have, in that sense, been created. And in that sense, the planet was, in that sense, created for us. What you would call terraformed. And we were put upon it. long ago in our history and evolved to the point we have evolved to now. So in that sense, many of you are our ancestors. For in your terms, our different dimensional frequency would make it seem as if we are coming from your future, even though all things are simultaneous. Does that make some sense to you?
Yes, yes.
We live in what you would call an extremely synchronistic fashion. Very little is what you would recognize as structure or organization of society. We trust that everyone needs to be where they need to be, when they need to be there, and thus we are always interacting with exactly who we need to interact with, when we need to interact with them, without much planning. Also, because we are in our own society telepathic, you would find it very, very quiet. There's not a lot of talking. Sometimes there is singing, though. We have that in common with you. Is there something else specific you wish to know?
Yeah, I would be interested to know about like family structure or that type of.
It is relatively spontaneously generated, in the sense that if individuals come together for certain purposes, they will simply allow themselves to recognize they are together for a purpose. If that lasts, it lasts. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At this time in our evolution, we are moving from physicality to somewhat more of a non-physical structure. There are not so many children being born on our planet at this time anymore, and generally we consider ourselves right now to be one large family, in the sense that every single individual on the planet is married, in a sense, to every other individual in one family structure, even though there may be units within it that you would recognize as more familiar structures with the idea of parents and children, but it is relatively loose.
Very interesting. I also was interested whether do you as a society, are you in relationship with the Pleiadians, since they're also doing a lot of communicating?
We have some cross-communication with them, but we are in a stronger relationship with the idea of the civilizations, both physical and non-physical, that are associated to the star system you call Sirius. We have connections to other races as well, and we belong to what you would loosely call an alliance of worlds. There are many, many such alliances within this galaxy, our galaxy, your galaxy, and other galaxies. We are only aware of a limited amount, since we have not explored everything there is to explore.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
I have 2 questions for you, please.
Oh, all right.
Considering, as you say, that everything is now.
Yes.
And using your analogy of the hologram.
Yes.
With various aspects of reality or experience within that hologram.
Yes.
Why is my consciousness right here in this time and place, in this body and this planet, and not in some other aspect of that vast hologram?
But your consciousness is in all of them simultaneously. It's just that your consciousness here is being expressed through a matrix called a personality structure that knows only of itself. Does that make any sense? It's like this, perhaps, as this analogy. You have a hand, yes?
Yes.
It's got fingers, yes?
Right.
Well, you slip your hand into a glove. Now, what you call the little finger fits perfectly in the little finger of the glove, yes?
Yes.
That doesn't mean the other fingers don't exist. But the little finger is only aware of it fitting snugly in its little finger holder, and is not really aware of the fact that the other fingers fit just as snugly in their own holders as well. But they all go back to the same hand. They all coexist simultaneously. It's just that the little finger is having a little finger experience. It's not having an index finger experience. Only the index finger is having the index finger experience and is not having the little finger experience. Both of them are having their own experience simultaneously, and both of them are really unaware of the experience of the other, or at least marginally aware of the experience of the other. But that doesn't invalidate one or the other, or both existing simultaneously. But you, by definition, are this personality, and in this personality is the definition of experiencing yourself to the exclusion of all other focal points.
Why to the exclusion of all?
Because that's the nature of this experience. Now, in this time and place in your evolution, You are relaxing that rule a little bit and are being able to be more capable of recognizing that you do in fact have other simultaneous experiences as a whole consciousness, expressed in other personalities or other focal points in other dimensions. And so you can sort of simultaneously start to get what you would call bleed through, perhaps see through the eyes of another version, another you, another aspect of your consciousness. But you don't do it that often because you're not used to that, and doing it too much can actually make you a little bit dizzy. It can remove you from the focus here because the focus here has a purpose for being. And you don't necessarily want to give that up because there's a reason why you chose to experience this reality in the way that you did. So you will be very careful about how you integrate your ability to look through the eyes of other selves until you can handle the ability to juggle them all in a way that will not devalue the experience you chose in each specific instance. Because each instance is unique and has value that you want to add to your collective soul's experience. So you don't want to give up that unique perspective, but you want to become aware of the other ones to whatever degree it can help this particular personality in its evolutionary path. Did that make any sense?
Yes, it does. But it doesn't make very much sense to the little finger. To the little finger,
yes.
it's still just a story. You know, that the other.
Well, that's all your personality is. It's a story.
But you say that there's a purpose that I'm experiencing.
Well,
a little finger.
your own purpose. Your own purpose for creating this story, that your soul wants this story experience. It's like saying, if you choose to pick up a book, since you have used the story analogy, you will generally not skip from book to book because then you might confuse the storylines. You want to enjoy this story and get everything you can out of those characters and that situation. So you will read that book. Then maybe go on to another. So it's the same analogy. You created this focus, you create all the other ones, but you want to make sure that if you're going to have all these different experiences, you can really have each of these experiences to the fullest. And sometimes having an experience to the fullest means you kind of have to not pay attention to the other stories for a while so you can get the most out of what this story has to offer. Does that make sense?
Yes, but that suggests an evolution, or rather that, you know, after this now, there's going to be another now, and another
From this
now.
perspective, yes, you can create that experience, and that's an experience as well. I understand it can seem contradictory, that everything is, and yet you can also have the experience of an evolution through time. But nevertheless, that's the nature of what's possible within all that is. You can have the experience of an evolution, and that in and of itself is a valid story too.
So in a sense, then, there's a level of trust. I have to trust that the decision that I'm experiencing a little finger experience rather than an index finger experience, or an experience on your planet or on any other planet, is for a specific purpose.
For yourself, yes.
That my soul has chosen.
Yes.
And at some point, it'll all come together.
Yes, in a sense, yes. And you will gain more and more understanding. In fact, in a sense, really, that's actually what evolution is becoming more aware of more of yourself simultaneously. That's what evolution actually is.
Okay, my second question, please.
Yes.
To what extent, if any, is there extraterrestrial interference on an individual basis of individual humans on this planet?
Well, that depends upon the extraterrestrial group or individual. Generally, the vast majority of extraterrestrial beings that are dealing with humans on Earth at this time do not interfere. There are a few that to some degree do. But again, that's the product of other kinds of agreements that have been made on other levels. And in that sense, therefore, it's not really interference.
So there is, in a sense, a soul allowance or contract with extraterrestrial intelligence.
Yes. And we respect it. It's just that different groups are interacting with humans in different parts of the soul contract.
So ultimately, it's all for a beneficial purpose.
If you choose to view it that way, then that's the only effect you will experience from it.
Well, again, trusting that the soul has made a decision, I would imagine that the soul has made a decision.
You still have free will to experience it how you will. You can still experience it in what you would call a positive or beneficial effect to you, or a negative and not beneficial effect to you. You can experience it in either way. The soul still leaves you the freedom to do that. I'll give you another analogy. It's not necessarily as cut and dried as you may think from the soul's point of view. In other words, the soul may have made the agreement to walk down a certain hallway. And so this life might represent that hallway from beginning to end. And walk down that hallway, you will. And that's the decision that has been made for the personality expression of the soul. But how you walk down that hallway is still up to you.
Whistling or
Exactly.
carrying a cross.
Exactly. Exactly. Good analogy, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of you and all of you, for this sharing and communication.
All of you as well. Thank you.
I have two questions.
Seems to be a theme.
Yes. The first is personal in nature and relates to creating synthesis in my life. And
Synthesis.
yes, just can you illuminate? That's one of my goals, is to synthesize.
Synthesize what?
Different aspects of my being for the highest purpose.
All right. Well, you're already doing that as a matter of course. You mean you want to synthesize specific aspects that you feel you're not already synthesizing?
Yes.
Your entire personality is already a synthesis.
Yes.
So you just want the synthesis to be of a particular sort. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and I create a more specific outcome.
A more specific outcome.
Yes.
Oh boy. This is where we get into the idea of expectation.
Okay.
Expectation is not always healthy for humans, because things rarely happen as they expect. However, if you are willing to use the power of paradox, you may get your wish, but only if you don't care if it comes true.
Yes.
That's the power of paradox. I give you an analogy before you go on. And I understand that this sometimes causes difficulty within the feeling centers of humans, but nevertheless, you can get used to this. And I'm not trying to make it more difficult for you. It really is actually rather simple once you get the hang of it. But look at a mirror. You see a reflection in the mirror, yes?
Yes.
If you see a frown on the face in the mirror, do you go to the mirror and push and pull at the reflection to try to get it to smile?
Not usually.
That would be futile, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Because the reflection will not smile until what happens?
The thing being reflected smiles.
Which means you.
Yes.
So you have to smile first before you see the reflection.
Yes.
Now, if you stand there with a frown on your face and say, unless I see the smile in the mirror first, I will not smile, what will happen?
Nothing.
Well, no, not nothing. You will continue to frown.
Yes, yes.
And you will never smile. Because you are expecting a particular outcome before you will be willing to know you are who you want to be.
Yes.
So the mirror is the idea analogous to outcome.
So smile.
If you smile no matter what, regardless of whether there's a mirror there or not, just because that's the state you want to be in, then the mirror will have no choice but to reflect that smile to you. But if you do it because you want to see a smile in the mirror, you will never see the smile.
I see.
You have to smile here, not because you want to see the smile in the mirror, but because smiling here is what is true for you. Then the mirror has no choice but to reflect it. But if you put it on the mirror, then you will never smile.
Thank you. That makes perfect sense. The second question is related to a project, co-creation project, which is related to opening human consciousness or bridging human consciousness with extraterrestrial consciousness for, a beneficial or a joyous effect on our planet.
What is the nature of your project?
A multimedia show.
Oh, all right. Is this something that excites you? It's an expression of your excitement and creativity?
Absolutely.
Well then,
the question is just as an extraterrestrial consciousness.
Yes.
Are there specific ways that you would recommend? I feel like I know the project itself and what is meant to be created, but in terms of bringing it to the sort of public eye or the consciousness or the collective consciousness and perhaps people that might not be as open to it, do you have recommendations?
For those that are not open to it, nothing will help. For those that are open to it, anything you put there will be fine.
Excellent.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
In other words, trust your own imagination. Now, I could recommend 1,001 different things, 1,001 different suggestions, but that's all they would be suggestions. You have to be the final arbiter of what you believe is best representative for the vibration you want that thing to have. Because when you give it the vibration that is most important to you, that's when it will have the best impact with regard to your intention for it. You see, you are giving off an invitation for the idea of contact, and that's why these dialogues have begun with us and with many others. Anything you do that contains the intention of increasing that interaction will increase that interaction no matter what form it takes, as long as you believe the form is representative of your intention. We will respond to that no matter what you put in it. All right?
Yes.
So that gives you complete creative control and freedom over your creation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
And you as well. And we are all already blessed.
Can I ask you a question about the dolphins?
You and then you.
Could you speak a bit about what you mean by the dolphins are aliens already here among us?
Well, understand, of course, that everything on your planet and everything everywhere is actually consciousness. Everything has its own version of consciousness. You may not be able to relate to the consciousness of a rock, but nevertheless, it is made of consciousness, the consciousness of God. Therefore, in a sense, it has its own kind of consciousness. But understanding that there are different expressions of consciousness, that there are types of consciousness you, as humans, choose to recognize as, shall we say, kindred spirits. In other words, you would look at us as an extraterrestrial, but you would also see us as a similar kind of consciousness to a human on the earth, yes? Well, dolphins are the same kind. You have two alien species side by side on your planet of what you would consider to be equal kinds of spiritual expression on that level, in that way. Now, of course, there are others as well, but we will not talk about them at this moment. The idea is to focus on the fact that you and the dolphins, in that sense, are like cousins and actually have many cross-incarnations. Humans, in a sense, allowing themselves to have dolphin lives, dolphins, in a sense, allowing themselves to have human lives, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth throughout what you call history. All the way back to and before Atlantean times into Lemurian times.
I feel a really strong connection to dolphins. Have I been a dolphin or?
Yes, many times, but also remember that that connection is also part and parcel or representative of the idea of a connection to the Sirius star system as well, which you also have connections to and are strongly expressed through dolphin energy.
And have I had interaction with other extraterrestrials this lifetime that, that I'm just not aware of?
Most of you have, on what you call dream state levels, other dimensional levels. It does not always serve you to completely remember those interactions when you wake up in physical reality, because it would to some degree interfere with your day-to-day activities. But you bring back what you need to bring back in your general collective consciousness and apply it in your life where you need to. And part of those experiences are even what is, in a sense, responsible for some of your desire to explore spirituality and other dimensions. is that you have experienced them. And so in that sense, you're incorporating those experiences into your outer physical awareness and consciously starting to recognize that it's possible to experience those other realities, even on Earth. And so the idea of asking for interaction, asking for contact, is one way you are expressing your memory of experiencing contact on other levels, which all of you at this point have had many times, in many different ways, with many different kinds of beings. Were it not so, it is unlikely we would be talking to you right now.
Can contact be negative sometimes?
Again, I am not saying that there are not beings who do not have negative intentions. There are all sorts of beings out here in the cosmos. Most of the ones that are interacting with Earth are what you would recognize as of a positive nature. Nevertheless, there are a few that have their own agendas. But again, that's not the point. The point is that if you maintain your preferred vibration, then even if you encounter what might classically be called a negatively intended being, you will only ultimately wind up with a positive effect from the interaction in your life. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Then pleasant dreams.
Thank you.
Yes!
You might be able to share one of your songs with us.
Ishko Iliana Aksana Chanaba. Short but sweet.
Is it translatable?
It translates into the reflection in the pond is no different than the reflection in any other form of life. It translates into you are all mirrors for me.
Beautiful.
Now, our music tends to be triaxial in nature. Bum 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 of that nature. It is actually rather simplistic compared to your music on your planet. Do you understand?
Yes.
It is more like, rather than the idea of a song, it is more like the idea of what you classically call a tone poem. Understand that since we are a hybrid race, our ancient language, which we almost never use anymore, is actually made of a combination of various languages on your planet and other planets. So you will actually hear certain literal words from various languages on your planet. For example, when we say I love you, we say ha-tu. Tu is the French meaning you. But it's part of our language now because it is a hybrid language as well. You follow me? Does that help? Thank you.
Was it the Syrians who came and took the Anunnaki people when they chose to leave?
No. The Anunnaki left of their own volition. Are you talking about the later or earlier ones?
I'm talking about those who accepted an invitation to leave somewhere around 12 to 1300, I believe, around 1300 AD.
No Anunnaki has remained on the planet for that long. However, there are Anunnaki offshoots.
No, I don't mean, I mean the information that exists in the ancient petroglyphs and also information that's been relayed more recently indicates that when their shamans realized the slaughter that was coming from the south and from the east, they were given an option of either staying or leaving.
But those are not pure Anunnaki. Those are Anunnaki offshoots. The genetics at that point in your history were not pure Anunnaki. Do you understand?
Okay, I didn't know that. I'm talking about the Indian tribe that the archaeologists and anthropologists refer to as the Anunnaki, who lived in the region of the Four Corners.
You mean Anasazi?
Oh yes, absolutely. I knew there was something wrong with what I was saying. Anasazi, yes.
I see. They simply, some of them, not all of them, some of them transliterated themselves into another dimensional frequency. In that sense, you could say they raised themselves up and were assisted in that raising. Sirius had something to do with it. other beings and other levels had something to do with it as well. It was, in that sense, a collective effort. Anunnaki is representative of a very ancient
Yes,
ET
I know,
race.
I know. My head is somewhere else.
That's all
But
right.
I was referring to Anasazi, the
Anasazi.
Anasazi people.
Yes.
And
Many
were
of them simply transliterated themselves to another dimensional level.
Were they assisted by extraterrestrial ships to do this?
They didn't require ships. The vibration was simply accelerated, and they found themselves in another reality. They are, I'll put it this way. Now, you know we've talked about the idea of multiple parallel existing realities, yes?
Yes.
So they are obviously in a similar reality to yours, but obviously different. I'm going to put it in this fashion, just because it is fun to do so. They are in a reality that is about 5 hours ahead of yours. They're just slightly out of your time frequency. There are some beings you would consider Mayan in that reality with them, not as many as you would think. There are actually many different kinds of indigenous tribes in that reality with them. They have transliterated themselves into a very different version of Earth. And they are slightly out of phase with your time frame reality. About, to put it colloquially, 5 hours out of phase.
It's my understanding that they did this. What did you call it? Trans what?
A transliteration.
With the commitment to interact whenever possible
Yes.
for the benefit
They
of
can
this.
still slip back into your reality. That's why they're only 5 hours out. It's not so far that they can't slip back from time to time. But those that know how to find them can also go to them. There are certain places on your planet where this is conducive, vibrationally. Some of what you call the sacred sites are conducive to interactions with some of these beings.
They're the descendants of more directly, the Lemurians, are they not?
There are many people on your planet that are directly descended, but much of the original ideas of what you call indigenous American Indian are genetically directly related to some ancient Lemurian and Atlantean strains, yes.
And the Lemurian value systems are reemerging now at this
To
time.
some degree, yes. They were very naturally based. They also had a slight bluish tinge to their skin.
Does this have to do with the indigo children?
That is part and parcel of it to some degree, but it is also where your concept of blue bloods came from. And the concept of that royalty is divine, that blue bloods are divine, because on that frequency they were closer to the idea of the Godhead. Because of the higher frequency, the higher vibration. You follow?
Is there any plan for them to merge when we get a little more with it,
You will be seeing
ecologically?
some of them from time to time when you, as you say, get more with it.
Thank you.
Thank you. The mayor.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question about, I'm right in the middle of a writing project.
A writing project, all right.
Writing a project. Well,
Yeah.
writing a book. And
Yes.
I was wondering how involved my twin brother is.
How involved? Well, have you had dreams of interaction where suggestions came through? Or just inspirations?
No.
No to which?
To both. Well, inspirations, yeah, but not a sense that it was coming from him.
I'll put it to you this way. The interaction is mostly through the concept you call synchronicity, in the sense of if you find yourself suddenly winding up in the perfect place that will help inspire you, or hearing the perfect thing that will help inspire you to further your work, it is likely that the interaction has come from your twin to get you there. to position you properly so that you would be open to hearing or knowing or feeling or seeing or experiencing exactly the thing you need to further the work for you within you. Does that make sense?
Yes. And another question.
Yes.
I do get a sense that my brother is involved in some sort of work, and I'm just wondering if you have any
Are you
sense
talking about in spirit?
in spirit, yes.
Some sort of work. Well, yes, spirits are very busy, you know. They don't just hang around waiting for you to call on them.
True.
There are many things that they do. Many things that can be done. There are just as many, and if not more, jobs there than there are in your physical reality.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that. I'm just curious on
Oh, I know you're not arguing. I'm just telling you there's a lot of things for them to do. So yes, they are involved heavily in jobs. One of the things he's involved in is the actual idea of helping people transition from one side to the other. You follow me?
Yeah.
One moment. One moment. One moment. There is something coming through that has to do with lemonade. Does that make any sense to you?
Yes.
It makes sense to you? Yes. How does it make sense to you?
Because I'm purifying right now with lemonade.
Oh, all right. Maybe I'm picking it up from you. Does it make any sense to you with regard to your brother?
No.
Not even in what you would call a childhood memory?
No.
All right, one moment. Then perhaps I am picking it up from you. Why were you purifying with lemonade?
To see if I can accelerate energetically toward that which what I'd like to create.
Why lemonade?
It has to do with just the detoxing.
All right.
In a process of detoxing, what you were speaking of earlier.
Does that mean you're drinking it without all the sugar?
I'm drinking it with greatly reduced sugar just to keep my system balanced, but to do the liver flush and the gallbladder flush and all of those areas and doing the juicing of vegetables.
Thank you. One moment. Thank you.
Okay.
Did your brother have a favorite book?
It's hard to say. He read a lot, so there was really no one favorite book.
One moment. Did he have a particular place to read?
No.
Have you ever read sitting on the edge of a bluff overlooking the ocean?
No.
Has he?
No.
No, or not that you know of?
I would know. No, I don't think so.
One moment. What is the nature of your book?
It's about prayer.
Prayer. What is prayer to you?
Good question.
Thank you.
Prayer could be many things. To me, it's both a communion with Spirit.
Yes.
Also, it's a process. It
All
also
right.
could be a process of making requests.
All right. Do you understand that the power of prayer is keeping it in the present?
Not too sure what you're saying.
What I am saying is, many times when people on your planet pray for things, they are praying for things they don't think they have. When in fact, prayer is actually simply the recognition in gratitude that you do in fact have everything you need.
Yes.
And thus then when you open up in full gratitude, in full recognition, you will find the thing you wanted already there within your sphere of influence, so to speak.
Exactly. Which that is what my book is about.
All right.
Is exactly that was one of the concepts.
All right. Then that information, that inspiration, that idea, in that we got it in that way, is primarily the signal coming from your brother. to stay on that track. You follow me?
Yeah. Thanks.
One moment. In your terms of physical reality, what was his name?
Steve.
Full name?
Stephen Paul.
2 first names?
Yeah, Stephen Paul Sharp, his last name.
And your name?
Robert
Any other
Allen.
names?
Robert Allen Sharp.
Also 2 first names. One moment. One moment. All we are sensing at this time is that it is quite possible that within what you call the next 3 to 4 years of your time, there will be a massive shift in the direction of your writing. And it may lead to the idea of a series of books. All right?
Okay.
Yes.
I have 2 quickies for you.
2 quickies? What are
One-
you suggesting?
Can you tell me how my mom is doing since she transitioned?
Fine, of course.
Would you?
Fine, of course.
Oh, she's doing fine,
Of course. Why wouldn't she be?
Okay, well, I know she is. I just thought you might have some more information.
Marigolds.
Marigolds.
Yes.
She's around marigolds?
No, but when you are, she will be with you.
Okay. Thank you.
And
And can you tell me where the Greys are with their hybridization program?
it depends on what faction you're talking about.
Well, the ones
However, the program has advanced, and there are only a few places on your planet where the old program is still in effect. The hybridization program is mostly now a program of the idea of enculturation, teaching the hybrids how to fit into a society of their own, as well as blending with you in your society eventually.
So they've stopped abducting in the level they used to?
On the level they used to, yes. There is still some of that going on.
Can you tell me how my hybrid children are doing?
They are extremely busy. All 15.
15?
Yes.
I thought I only had 3.
Now you have 15.
Okay.
The material, the genetic material, is used in a variety of ways from time to time, you know.
I think you had told me once that the 3 I had actually fertilized or had been inside of me, and the others, I guess they
Have not.
have not.
Yes. But they all count.
And do they grow at the same, I know it's not the same level, but are they teenagers now? Are they young adults?
They are what you would recognize as in the range of about 11 to 15.
And
With one 10-year-old.
okay. And are they in touch with me in my dream state?
Sometimes, not always.
And will I get to see them in this lifetime?
Not all of them, but a few of them, yes.
Thank you so much.
One moment. One moment.
Bashar.
One moment. One moment. There will be but a few moments remaining for this transmission. What questions remain?
Bashar, Bernard Goodman, who channeled to me at the turn of the millennium for 6 weeks, was he an alien or who was he?
No, he's not an alien. Like all of you, he has what you would call connections and or experiences going on in extraterrestrial places. But in that sense, he was, in your terms, human.
And the golden tablet that he was talking about?
Has to do with the unlocking of information that will begin to occur on your planet and the discovery of ancient knowledge that will begin to once again be found that has been lost.
Are there 13 ethereal tablets, or is 13 a number for
13 is a
ancient-
powerful transition number, and certain kinds of codexes do exist in forms of 13 blocks or groups, yes.
Bashar,
Yes.
I am a composer of neuroacoustic healing.
All right, thank you.
And I'm also a writer, and I'm just looking to see what is the best expression for this being in terms of the support and the expression and the healing and the uplifting and the support
Again,
of this
that which
humanity.
excites you the most.
Oh,
Always be
okay.
that your guide. Always be that your guide. You do not need to wonder so much. All you need to do is follow your highest joy and act on it to the best of your ability at every given moment. It really is that simple. It really is that simple. One moment. There will be purpose now for the termination of this transmission. We would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interface. It makes a difference to many, not only on your world, but on many worlds. Watch for things to come. Watch for times when you are where you least expect to be. For in that moment you are exactly where you need